Jacob and Esau, Rebekah held the same position in Isaac's family that Eve held in Adam's family. Unlike Eve, however, Rebekah understood God's providence and helped her second son, Jacob, representing Abel's position, to gain the blessing destined for the first son, Esau. Just as Cain killed Abel, Esau wanted to kill Jacob when the blessing went to his younger brother. But with Rebekah's help, these brothers eventually reconciled in a warm embrace rather than resulting to violence. This reconciliation was a major victory for God. This victory, nevertheless, was not complete, since the reconciliation represented only a symbolic purification of blood lineage. The substantial purification of blood lineage had to be accomplished in the womb. This is the reason for the paradoxical story of Tamar. By understanding that Tamar, like Rebekah, was in the position of fallen Eve, it becomes possible to understand why Jesus was born of her lineage, the tribe of Judah. I am sure that many of you have read the story about the birth of her twins. She conceived with Judah, her father-in-law, the twins Perez and Zerah. The Bible tells us that the two sons struggled even in the womb for the position of firstborn. During Tamar's labor, Zerah's hand was the first to emerge, and the midwife tied a red string around his wrist. Then Zerah's hand disappeared back into the womb, and Perez, the younger, was born as the elder. Thus, the positions of Cain and Abel were restored even before birth took place. It was from this point that the Israelite people became the nation chosen to receive the Messiah. In terms of conventional morality, the stories of Rebekah and Tamar would be questionable at best. Why God blessed them has been a theological mystery until today. As we now see, God needed to reclaim his lineage from Satan so that Jesus could be born. Purified, which the Israelite nation started expanding. The word Israel means victory. Their victory was the purification of blood lineage. The lineage of Judah developed for generations, expanding to the levels of tribe, society, and nation. From this same lineage, Mary was born in Israel 2,000 years later. Mary had the responsibility for unite Cain and Abel figures on the family, clan, and national levels through paying appropriate indemnity and restoring elder sonship. Mary responded to God's call and conceived Jesus, even though, in the eyes of others, she had betrayed her parents and Joseph, to whom she was engaged. At the time, it was customary to stone to death any woman who became pregnant out of wedlock. However, Joseph, standing in the symbolic position of Adam, courageously protected his fiancée and resisted abandoning her. Because of Mary's faith and the work of Rebekah and Tamar, Satan could not claim sovereignty over Jesus in Mary's womb. Jesus was born in the position of a true son under God's complete direct lineage. He is the first true Son of God after the purification of the fallen blood lineage. That is why Jesus, the first begotten Son of God, is the saint of all saints and the ancestor of God's true blood lineage. His birth represented the conclusion of the Old Testament age and at the national level, and the dawn of the New Testament age at the worldwide level. Mary, in the position to restore fallen Eve, had to build a unity between Jesus, who was in the position of Abel, and his elder cousin, John the Baptist, who was in the position of Cain. This unity was essential for the people of Israel to identify Jesus as the Messiah. John was the elder. He had a great following and was widely respected. As Jesus explained to his disciples, the ministry of John was the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecy that Elijah the prophet would return to make straight the way of the Lord.